LMPD, 4 people injured in shooting at Newberg Park. This was written on October 7th, 2022 by Matthew Keck for WLKY.com. Let's go to Louisville, Kentucky again. Louisville Metro Police Department is investigating after at least 2 people were shot and injured in the Newberg neighborhood Thursday night. LMPD said their 6th Division responded to a shooting in the 500 block of East Indian Trail at Petersburg Park just before 7 p.m. David Holt lives across the street and said he heard the gunfire. There were easily between 20 to 40 shots that I heard. Like I said, I was on the phone and I assumed it was the person I was on the phone with listening to them or something, but it was a shooting, Holt said. Police located 2 males that were suffering from gunshot wounds at the park. Both of the men were taken to U of L hospital to be treated for their injuries. They said the 2 men sustained non-life-threatening injuries. While they were investigating the scene, LMPD was notified that 2 victims with gunshot wounds showed up at U of L hospital by private means. Holt said he came into contact with a man who needed help after the shooting. He came to my car and said, "Hey, there was a shooting. I need to charge my phone so I can contact my ride so I can leave." And I was like, "Well, you don't have the weapon, do you?" And he was like, "No, there was a lot of activity." So I was like, "Okay, I'll let you charge your phone, but it was intense," Holt said. This community shouldn't have to deal with that. They should not. Police determined that these 2 victims were connected to the shooting at Petersburg Park as well. They said the injuries of those 2 victims were non-life-threatening as well. The investigation is ongoing according to LMPD. Anyone with information is asked to call the anonymous crime tip hotline at this number or use the anonymous crime tip portal at this link, and I will put the link for this article in the description of this video. Once again, people senselessly being hurt by gun violence in the United States of America because we allow guns to continue to proliferate throughout our society. Some people will say these people were criminals, these people were thugs, these people were gangsters, and all the other dog whistles they use to try to talk about crime. Some people will say that this is a bad neighborhood. I've never been to Louisville. Wait, yes, I have. I have been to Louisville before, one time, many years ago. But anyway, some people who live in Louisville who will watch this video will say that neighborhood is a bad neighborhood or that's a bad part of town. But where you live should not determine if you live or how you live. People should not have to say I'm safe from gun violence because I live in Beverly Hills or I live in a posh area of New York. People should not say I am in constant threat of gun violence because I live in Compton or, I don't know, South Central or New Orleans or, Detroit or Chicago, the right wing's favorite place. We shouldn't have to have this differentiation in exposure to violence because, number one, gun violence happens in all of those places. If you don't believe me, please watch the other videos on my channel covering the mass shootings across America. They literally happen everywhere. Any place you can think of, there's been a mass shooting there. Don't believe me? Watch the other videos. Several videos I've covered where mass shootings happen in schools, churches, posh parts of town, rich parts of town, poor parts of town, to black people, to white people, to Hispanic people, to Asian people, to Indian people. It affects all Americans. Gun violence is the problem. We do not have actual gun control in America. These sorts of stories do not happen at the frequency and level that they do in Canada, France, Germany, the UK, Spain, Italy, etc. because those countries have actual gun control. If you speak to anybody across the pond in Europe, not in a third world country like, I don't know, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Nicaragua, if you talk to people from actual sustainable developed countries or even middle income countries like Turkey or Chile or Argentina, they don't have these sorts of issues. The problem in America is that too many guns continue to permeate and more Americans will continue to be hurt by this. If you don't believe me, if you think I'm just some lunatic, please go look at the statistics. Please go look at my other videos. What can we do to solve this? First and foremost, ideally, we should abolish the Second Amendment. We should have an actual movement to get rid of the guns in America, just like they did in New Zealand and in Canada. I mean, not in Canada, in Australia after their mass shooting at their port. But I'll say this, what can we do? We can not buy guns, first and foremost. We can boycott the gun manufacturers who actually make billions of dollars in profit every year selling guns to Americans, which cause more and more Americans to kill each other and themselves. We can actually try to lobby our politicians to pass laws to actually get rid of the guns. We can actually become politicians ourselves and run in elections to try to actually have these measures taken into effect. Why do I care so much about this? Because I'm an American and I care about other Americans. So for anybody who's watching this video saying, well, why don't you just move to another country? I did. I'm filming this video in beautiful Mauritius right now. I have no plans to live in America permanently ever again. I'll drop by and visit, but you guys can have this murderous death cult nation that you have festered and created for yourself. If you think I'm being hyperbolic, please, please, please go watch at least 2 of my other videos related to gun violence in America, because it is getting increasingly worse. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I am literally just reporting the news. Abolish the Second Amendment. My name is Simon Hill. Thank you for watching, and peace.